Hi guys, I'm Daniel Tuttle, the Provocative Intuitive. I wanted to talk to you today a little bit about a 21st century plague that I see going on a lot with a lot of people that come into my office, and that's the plague of anxiety. Anxiety seems to be something right now that has really taken a hold of so many of us. But what is anxiety really? What is it exactly? What I know to be true, and of course, take it exactly with whatever feels light to you, but what I know to be true is that anxiety is a lack of being present, fully present. Anxiety comes when we're too focused on worrying about the future, or we're too stuck in the past, worrying about the past, or regretting the past. What happens is the future is not here yet, and the past is already done. So we can't change the past. And the future, because it's not here yet, the gift is the present. When we become present, fully present, the anxiety starts to melt away. What I'd like to do is I'd like to share some tips and tools for you on how you can overcome or deal with anxiety. But first I want to share with you a story. Many years ago I was on a flight to Israel, and I was going to board my flight, and there was a lot of energy on the flight, right? A lot of energy. A lot of different personalities, a lot of different people, different kinds of people, and I was just kind of chalking it up to this cultural experience that I was having. Anyway, I got on the plane and I got situated and sat in my seat, and all of a sudden I started to feel really uncomfortable. And I was like, what's wrong with me? Like, is it my stomach? Like, my stomach was in knots. My heart was racing a little bit. And I was like, well, this is really bizarre. So all of a sudden, I get situated, everything's happening, and I'm really starting to get focused on this feeling. And it's creating what I would consider panic in me, because the doors are about to close, everything is about to happen, and all of a sudden the doors close. The flight attendant comes in and they start to do the security presentation. And I just feel my heart racing harder and harder, and the sweat is coming down my face. I have to tell you, I've flown hundreds of times, so I've never felt that sense of fear when I was traveling. The flight attendant recognized that I was having a moment, and she came up to me and she said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "I don't know what's going on with me. My heart is racing. I don't feel good." And she goes, "Let me bring you some water." So she brought me some water. And as I sat there, the plane was about to take off, and then I had to lean my head forward on the back of the seat, which of course you're not supposed to do. Lean my head forward on the back of the seat just so I could have some grounding. And as soon as I did, as the panic got worse and worse, I looked to my right and I saw that there was a woman, an older woman, being consoled by her daughter, who was in exactly the same position that I was in, but in a much worse position. She was like hyperventilating, she was freaking out, the daughter was really consoling her. And in that moment, I recognized that this energy was not mine. And as soon as I did that, I switched my awareness to that woman, and I started to send her what I call unconditional love, just energy. I started to send her unconditional love. I started to really surround her with care, with compassion, and know how she was feeling now. And the minute that I started to do that, all of that fear and all that panic went away. And there's an amazing tool that I would like to share with you in these situations for yourself. And that's what I call the "Who Does This Belong To" tool. It's one of the main, most incredible tools that we have in Access Consciousness. Who does this belong to is a phrase that we use in a situation where you start to have any kind of fear or any kind of panic or anything at all that you don't really want to have. You take a second and you ask yourself, who does this belong to? And you keep asking, who does this belong to? Who does this belong to? Usually I close my eyes. Who does this belong to? And I just keep saying it. Who does this belong to? Who does this belong to? You will be amazed at what happens. Slowly but surely, little by little, that energy starts to dissipate. And once you've felt it dissipate, then I usually add return to center with consciousness at the end. So then it goes back to whence it came. It's not important to figure out where it came. It's just important for you to not take it on to recognize that it's yours. Okay? So who does this belong to is an incredible tool. Now I have another physical tool that I'd love to share with people too. Now, did you know anxiety all happens here? Okay? Yes, I know you feel it here, but it happens here. So what happens energetically is your head gets really hot. And all this energy is here. The rest of your body is cold or very cool. So one of the things that I recommend doing is called toe tapping. And immediately what you do is you draw your attention to your toes. It doesn't matter where you are. And you look at your toes and you just start tapping your toes. And you just start tapping your toes one by one by one. And you start looking at them and you start tapping them. And as you do so, you imagine this energy coming from your head to your toes. And you can even add, who does this belong to when you're doing that? Who does this belong to? Who does this belong to? Who does this belong to? Happens immediately the minute that you shift your energy from here to here, just by looking. You don't even have to do the tapping. If you just look and shift your attention and your energy to your toes, your energy will divert and it will begin to ground itself. Once it begins to ground itself, everything and anything is possible. You will start to feel immensely better. I use this with tons of my clients and it's very, very, very successful. So, and that's a little bit about anxiety. If you guys want to learn more about anxiety, please go visit my YouTube page or my Instagram, The Provocative Intuitive, where we'll talk about anxiety, we'll talk about manifesting, we'll talk about fear, we'll talk about worry, everything. If you found this video helpful and you would like to learn a little bit more about me or what I do or other tools like this, please feel free to visit my website, www.theprovocativeintuitive.com, where you can book an appointment with me if you'd like to set up a session, where you can look at the classes that I have to offer that deal with different topics, and also learn a little bit more about me. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you next time.